you had a crazy look on your face. Like, I thought I was trying to enter into a conversation.
You were not dealing with a rational person.
Welcome to the Far More Podcast. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Jason.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Would you like to say more on that?
I mean, it's been a trying week.
Yeah, last week was Snow Day edition, which we were excited about the snow day on the first day of the snow day.
Yeah.
But day 475 of the snow day, oof.
It feels like it has been a month since last Sunday.
But think of all the togetherness we've had as a family.
That's why I said that I'm just doing okay. Y'all, look, I feel like I start a lot of episodes with y'all look.
Here's truth.
It's like me. Well, no, I feel like it's me defending myself. I love my children and I love you so much. It's as an only child, I grew up with just me and my parents in the house, and this is hard. All this togetherness has been, it has been a challenge. I'll be honest. It's been very challenging. I snapped at our children 2 nights ago. And when I say snapped, I mean I snapped. I feel like a little bit of fire and steam came out of me. And so, yeah, I'm okay.
Well, listen, here's the good news. We have everyone is accounted for. Everyone's still alive.
Yes.
We're good.
Yeah.
I think we're close to the end of Snowmageddon.
I think we have one more day.
Let's go.
I don't think they're going back to school tomorrow.
I'll help you out. I'm gonna get out of the house tomorrow. So there's
I don't
one down.
know. I don't know if that's better or worse. I'll let you know tomorrow night when you get home from work.
It's gonna be better for me.
Well, hey, at least one of us will be winning in some sort of way.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So last week, we talked about entering into the Eremos with God, and this isn't what this episode is about, but I am going to share with, our listeners and those who are watching. I've already told you, I tried it one day. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to be very transparent.
What happened, girl?
Very
what happened?
honest. I was in the quiet. I felt like I set the perfect stage to enter into the Eremos with God. It was still darkish outside. The light wasn't beaming in. Everybody, you were still asleep. Kids were still asleep. I'm at my desk. Lights are turned off. I even put my hoodie on.
Oh, girl, so pause.
Yeah.
So imagine when I wake up and I see a shadow in the dark with a hoodie on sitting at the desk, like at the foot of the bed. I was like, what is happening? What has gone sideways? I don't know.
And nothing had gone sideways. I was trying to enter into the Eremos, and I sat there I committed, on the front end.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Liz, just try and make it 15 minutes. Just try and make it 15 minutes. And I did. Nothing happened. I think it's, again, we talked about this on the last episode when I said, a brand new believer who opens their Bible for the very first time is going to look very different than that same believer opening their Bible 3 years from that first time. And so it hit me back up in 3 years when I have been practicing entering into the Eremos, because I was like, okay, Lord. You know what I found myself doing?
What's that?
I found myself not being quiet.
Like talking to yourself? What do you mean?
No, I kept praying, but I don't even know if that's what's supposed to happen. Because how can I hear the Lord if I'm still running a dialogue or a monologue? Does that make sense? How can you hear the voice of God if you're creating your own noise?
Well, but I think you're also really focused on, quote, getting it right.
Oh, I mean, well,
right?
I guess. I think I just crave.
Listen.
Desperately crave to hear the voice of God.
Coming from me, this is going to sound interesting.
Oh boy, I love it when you set it up that way.
But I don't think there's a perfect process or formula for that.
I'm sure there's not, but it is getting alone in the quiet.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I wasn't being quiet is what I'm trying to say.
I was quiet in my Remos time.
Because I bet you were asleep.
I fell asleep. 100% I
Yeah. So anyway, last week talked about entering into the Remos with God, and it's something that Jesus did often. I even was reading this morning about how it was a spiritual discipline of his. He often went away to be alone. And so this week we're going to sort of piggyback off of last week and talk about Jesus more, because this is also episode number 33.
Number 33.
And that, that's such a symbolic number when it comes to Jesus.
Why is it important?
Because that's his ministry. It was from wasn't it from 30 to 33. And so when he was 33, that's when he was, really preparing to sacrifice his life for all of us who are wildly undeserving. And so I think spending some time talking about Jesus today, and maybe specifically when he fasted for 40 days. 40 days.
Well, but think about it. Like, when did he fast? He was fasting at the beginning, quote, kicking off his ministry.
Right.
Right? So, baptized by John the Baptist.
JTB.
That's right. Then pretty much immediately goes into the
wilderness.
Right?
Yeah.
Eremos.
And
then a 40-day fast.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure his fast was, I am inferring here, this may not be theologically sound. Yeah. I'm assuming that he fasted from all food. In my mind, he's drinking water, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming.
That's just an assumption.
I think biblically it pretty much aligns with that as well.
Yeah. And Satan came attacking, or trying to attack.
As he does, especially when we're at our most vulnerable state. So we teased out last week a little bit. We mentioned that, we're kind of participating in a corporate fast. And so this snow week.
It's been so easy, y'all.
So we're going to get into the fun of that.
Yeah.
Snow week.
We're going to get into the meat of it.
Ooh. Lots of togetherness. Everybody at the house. Disrupted schedule.
Yeah.
Not really ever participated in a corporate fast like this before. We each uniquely are trying to figure out what fasting means for us, what this discipline looks like.
What our intentions are surrounding it as well.
Correct. Just like Jesus was going into the wilderness, he was kicking off his ministry. He was going into a big situation. Let me fast, pray through, prepare myself. And so as we entered into this season, we're like, okay, what does that mean for us uniquely? We talked a little bit about my Post-it note exercise and the ridiculousness.
Your Post-it note process.
Correct. The ridiculousness of that. So we got through to day 5 of our fast.
And then what happened?
Then I made a mistake.
The further removed we are from the situation, I don't disagree with you.
I think I made a mistake.
Yeah.
So.
But at least it was you and not, I did as well, but it was by your leading.
Hold on. Yes, I led you, Eve.
You did.
We've been participating in a liquid fast. And for us, that means no solid foods. So juices, water,
smoothies,
coffee, and smoothies that have protein. So
yeah,
we're on day 5. Now, we're not experienced in this discipline and not experienced on doing that for 21 days.
Yeah.
We've done liquid fast before. Typically, they're about 3 days.
Yeah.
So when we got to day 5. When we got to day 5, the fun started really kicking in on this. And my analytical brain now goes...
I'm so curious to see where you're going with this.
My analytical brain goes, we're not equipped for this. right? Now, I get the interesting angle
Or
here.
was it Satan?
Well,
You say analytical brain.
I don't know.
What if it was Satan trying
Listen,
to creep in?
Those blur the lines. Well, hang on.
Okay,
I proposed.
okay.
I put something on the table.
Okay.
So my brain starts going, we're not prepared for this thing. Like, we don't have this thing laid out to actually go 21 days on a liquid fast like this. Like, we haven't really thought this through.
Yeah. And you asked me something about it. And I was like, well, sure, we have a plan. We drink at this certain time of every single day. That's the plan.
Yeah, but then I was like, hang on. Are we sure we understand the impacts of this? Like, I go to the analytical side.
You were thinking physical.
I jumped out of the spiritual aspect and went real quick to the physical aspect, or what are we doing? Has this really going to impact our bodies if we do this for 21 days?
Could this wreck our bodies is kind of where you were going with
Correct.
it.
So I wanted both. Yes, let me get the spiritual aspect, but also not destroy this thing over here.
Yeah.
Not the best thing. So I put on the table. I'm like, but in fairness, if I defend myself, I said, hey, babe, love you so much. How about, I was like, I can't tell if this is me talking, if Satan's talking, if this is a good idea, a bad idea, what? But what if every 5 days of this liquid fast, we do a solid meal, just as a make sure, as a reset of nutrition that we need?
Okay, dear listener.
Now.
I don't get to say my response.
Not yet.
Okay.
I position that
Okay.
as a, what do you think about this? And I, with a quick follow-up, it's like, listen, I don't know if this is me talking, if it's a bad idea, if this is Satan just kind of getting in and disrupting this thing. I did say that in my defense.
You were really hammering.
Right.
On that
I put
point.
it on the table of, I don't know if this is, I need your help processing this feeling.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay, let's eat. And then I said, you cannot leave this decision up to me, because right now in this moment, I am so hungry. And I don't even know if that's true. I think I wanted some solid food so badly that I was blinded by my own whatever this thing is. I don't even know what label to put on it.
Girl, you had a crazy look on your face. Like, I thought I was trying to enter into a conversation of,
You
hey,
were not dealing with a rational person.
Help me process this. Realize I bumped into someone on the edge.
A very irrational
with a very
Liz.
murdery look. And so I'm like, oh goodness. Like, so then that fed
your narrative.
It fed my narrative. Okay, clearly we're not prepared for this. So this is where she's at right now. Like, we're not prepared for this for 21 days. Let's rethink this thing we just jumped into.
Right, because for me, but you misread the situation, girl, because that was not my physical self crying out for food. That was my mental self crying out for solid food.
And again, me being the protector, I'm like, you're about to snap right now. Like, I wasn't in a snapping state. I was in the analytical, okay, hang on. Am I hungry? Yes. Am I fine? Yes. In my head, it was going to be like, okay, we're going to plan this out. Not right now. Like, the next day, this is what we're going to do a quick refeed. Like, that's where I thought this was going to go.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Not, because next thing I know, you got the takeout menu up and
No, you were not. I didn't pull out anything.
You said I know what I'm having. First essence you did.
You named a restaurant. I said, I know exactly what I'm getting. And then, okay, you want to throw me under the bus? I'll throw you under the bus. How many meals did you order for yourself?
Time out. We're not to that point yet. We're not even to that. We didn't get to that realization until later. All right. So anyways, we said, okay, we got to a place of, okay, it's probably a good idea. Every 5 days, let's do a refeed meal.
Have one meal.
Right.
Yeah.
And we thought we were in a good place with that decision. So we go and we order food, and I pick food up. I bring food to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We open up food. Girl, what happened, girl?
I had a real bad moment, y'all.
Tell me, girl, what happened?
So what I ordered is not what came to the house. And your girl did not handle it well, y'all.
To say you reacted poorly
Is a wild understatement. I responded like a 4-year-old child. It was, y'all, I got a sweet potato instead of sweet potato fries.
You would have thought.
You would have thought that Jason came home without my food. Period. That was how I reacted. And boy, was it convicting.
And so in that moment, I was kind of like, wow, this is clearly, it helped us get to a conversation there of, okay, clearly this is part of the reason why we're doing this fast, is to unpack some things that are going on here.
Well, food has always been a big trigger for me, and it has always been a struggle. Always. As long as, I do not know of a time in my life. Like, that's how deep it goes. There is not a time in my life that I cannot remember not having an issue with food, even from a very early age. And so, yes, it was very convicting. I'm also leading women through a 40-day sugar fast. So you put that on top of it, and Satan just really loves to use those opportunities to try to convince me. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, not that I have failed, but that Liz, you are a failure. And yeah, it wasn't pretty, y'all. It wasn't pretty. But to your point, what you said off mic, that probably needed to happen. It was embarrassing, number one. But number two, I think I needed that to show me, okay, girl, this is still something that you probably really have not let go and given to the Lord. I am still trying to white knuckle. Me. I am still trying to handle it in my own strength in my own power instead of daily. Mealy.
Yeah.
Every meal, I feel like, gosh, and that's overwhelming thinking about that. Every meal, I feel like I probably need to lay over to the Lord. Give it over to the Lord. Be with me. Help me to break this.
But isn't that what's awesome? Like in that moment of even like our own struggle, brokenness, misstep, like God revealed something. Like God still used the moment. He still used the moment.
Yeah, he still works.
He used the moment more then in our messiness than he'd probably used in our quote obedience in the previous 5 days.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And then you were teasing out how much food I ordered.
Because it wasn't just me, y'all. I'm not the only one who had a bad reaction.
Well, hang on. I didn't have a realization really until today.
Right?
You had a reaction. I had a realization.
Okay, we're not going to split hairs.
I realize our struggles are so different because I don't have the same food struggles you have.
No, you do not.
Now, what I realize is your boy Jason didn't order just a meal. He ordered at least 2 meals because I didn't know what I wanted. And so I'm like, I'm just going to order 2 meals. And what I realized in unpacking that is my struggle was I always want options.
And abundance.
And I always want to make sure I'm never going to run out. I want options. I want abundance. I want to make sure I don't run out. And so what did I do? I ensured that.
Yeah.
I went and over-ordered intentionally because I wasn't going to run out of food. And I was going to have a smorgasbord of options depending on what I wanted.
Please tell me we're not alone
Oof.
here. Oof.
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 Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
But once I woke up this morning, I was like, okay, you know what? And you didn't like this example. When I said, if Jesus can go 40 days without eating anything and only drinking water, then the Lord can definitely sustain me for 21 days doing liquids only. But you didn't like that example because you were like, he's Jesus. And I'm like, yes, he is, but he was still fully man.
Yeah.
And he went on, like, his body physically was apparently okay. The Lord sustained him because he then from there went on to do a very demanding, very taxing, very hard ministry for 3 years. So yeah, the Lord can sustain me. I realized I don't need food to sit down and have a meal. If anything, it showed me, I don't know, it showed me that I just placed way too much significance, importance, joy, something on having that meal. So I don't need to have any during this fast. Yeah. Is it going to be hard? Yeah. Is it going to be challenging? Yeah. I think that's the point. Because without the challenge, you don't turn to your creator. If it's easy, the meal makes it easier. That's another thought I had this morning is if I incorporate this one meal every 5 days, instead of thinking about Jesus and turning to God and leaning into him and really praying about and being intentional about this fast, I'm just going to be looking forward to that fifth day.
I'm going to rely on that meal and I'm going
to use way too much brain power thinking about what I'm going to get because I'm going to be so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to get? Okay, are we going to go here? Are we going to go there? What am I going to get? That's missing the whole point completely.
Or it's exposing the whole point, right? I think that's really what it comes down to is this has exposed the whole point for what you put emphasis on and what I put emphasis on.
Yeah.
Right? Because I still was in that place, even in your example of, yes, the Lord will sustain me, but will he sustain me without this happening or this happening or this happening? Right? I want to put boundaries and expectations and considerations around how I'm sustained.
Yeah.
Right? That's my control struggle a little bit.
So Jesus, going into the wilderness, fully God, fully man. So the fact that he was fully man means that he can be tempted, right? Because the Bible talks about how Satan came to tempt him. But he was, and I've talked about this on many previous episodes, but Jesus was so laser focused on his mission and why he was here. I think there's a really good word in that. I think so many of our episodes kind of tie into or play off of this whole thing is that if I am not laser focused on God, on Jesus, if I am not in constant contact with him, asking him to reveal to me what he wants me to do today, who he wants me to talk to today, who he wants me to be today. If we're not laser focused on that, we easily can succumb to Satan's temptation and get derailed real quick. But I think what Jesus showed us in those 40 days, he was all about his Father's business. And he said that from the age of 12 years old. Did you know that?
Tell me more.
So this is when we really first start learning about, other than his birth, which we all know that story. The first 12 years or we don't know much about those first 12 years, but that 12th year, he was 12 years old. He and his whole family, they went to the temple, and mom and dad head back. He's not with them. He is in the temple. He has not been mentored by anyone, to my knowledge. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was not taught by a rabbi. He was a carpenter's son, so he was learning that trade. He was in the temple teaching to the teachers. He was teaching the teachers. And he said, when his mom, I mean, I can't imagine, if you and I traveled hundreds of, I'm sure it wasn't. Well, maybe it was hundreds of miles.
Well, she looks around like, where's Jesus?
Yeah.
Where's
Jesus?
Not in the back seat. I don't know.
No.
He's not in the back donkey.
She comes back. That's funny. She comes back and she's like, Jesus, what were you doing? What have you been doing? And he's like,
love his answer.
Woman? And he didn't mean that demeaning. He said that a lot. Woman, I have to be, he said, don't you know? I have to be about my Father's business.
When he was like, where else would you expect me to be? Where else do you think I would be? Of course I was here.
Of course I was here. I have to be about my Father's business. And so he was, again, I get that he was fully God. And so in our minds, we think, well, of course, it was just easier for him. Right? Is that kind of where you were going with it when
That's
I
where
said,
I was,
like, of course it's
pushback.
easier. Of course it's easier for Jesus because he knew from the get.
He knew the full
why
story.
He was here.
He knew the full story. I think so much for me.
He got the back of the book.
Right.
Answers.
He knows where this thing's going. I think so much of where I struggle is I don't know where this thing's going. So if I don't know where it's going, I'm going to start thinking.
Okay, but what if it's because you are overcomplicating it? What if we whittled it down to we are supposed to share the good news with others? We are supposed to share Jesus with others. That's the back of the book answer. Is it how are we supposed to do that?
Correct.
Where you get, well, and this ties in.
Where am I supposed to put my focus?
Okay,
Yeah.
well, maybe this ties into the Eremos episode because we got to get in the Eremos. And I know it sounds funny because I keep saying it more and more and more, and for those who haven't listened to that episode, Eremos means a quiet, desolate place. And it's a place to be alone with God where you don't have your Bible, you're not listening to anything. It's just complete quiet. It's you and God, and you're trying to clear the noise. Go listen to the episode. It's episode 32. And you're saying, okay, Lord, I'm here. Speak to me. Reveal to me whatever it is that you want to reveal to me. And what if we started doing that on a consistent basis, and then we might actually hear the answers that you might actually hear
That's
the
right.
answers that you've been seeking.
That's right. I think as we're introducing that spiritual practice more in our life, as we play out this fast, because we're back at it.
We are.
Right.
For the next however many days we have left.
Back at it, and maybe more eyes wide open. Right. And again, I think that disruption was so important for us to understand our own struggles.
Yeah.
To understand that it's not just a white knuckled discipline situation, which usually that's just what I lean into is white knuckles and discipline. That there's more going on here.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
What's that, girl?
I love you.
Uh-oh. Love you too.
No,
Oh, okay.
that's it's
Okay.
a hard stop. I
Okay.
love you.
Whew.
I'm grateful to be on. Am I grateful to be on this journey with you? I think I'm
Wow.
grateful to be on. I had to look. I was having a Jason moment. I
Okay.
was trying to really think through. Am I grateful to be on this fasting journey with you?
Well, think about the...
And I think I am. Because without the way your brain processes things, all of that stuff last night would never have happened because I would have just white knuckled it and I would have kept going. And I would have never mentioned anything about eating a meal. But like you said, we probably learned more in the failure. I'm just going to use the word failure. In the misstep. We learned more in the misstep than we have. And I can confidently say that as well, that I learned more over the last 24 hours than I have since we began, for sure. But I just had a Jason moment, but I am grateful to be on this fasting journey with you.
Well, and a lot of what we talked about in the beginning of our fast is what do we want to be as a couple? Mm-hmm. How do we put our marriage on the table and really say, okay, how are we being really intentional for each other?
Yeah.
And what we want to be. And I think we've had some really good conversations yesterday and today. Really hard conversations.
I cried a lot today.
I mean, girl, that's not abnormal.
Yeah, but I don't know. Today's crying this is such a side note because I wasn't planning on talking about this, but this crying felt very different. I felt real vulnerable. I'm usually pretty okay with sharing like my struggles with you, and I'm okay crying. I'm definitely okay crying in front of you. I'm pretty much okay crying in front of anyone because I think crying is very cathartic. Oof. But that's neither here nor there. But today I just felt like a very vulnerable, exposed cry. Does that make sense?
It does, but it
because I shared something with you that I didn't want to really.
But in doing that, it led to us having a really good conversation about how our love languages, instead of just being different, really do intersect and overlap if we're really intentional about it. They complement each other. And if we can look at it that way.
And what's really fun is we're going to do an episode on the 5 love languages. It's like a Valentine's Day special.
Oh,
isn't that exciting?
Totes exciting.
So y'all, hey, if you're not following us, make sure you follow. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. I can never remember what it is. Is it a bell? It's something.
There's a bell on
YouTube. You hit something so that it notifies you every time an episode drops. We are on all the socials. We are at Far More Podcast on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And if the snow is still sticking around, or if you have some fun videos of you and or your kids sliding down, please send them to me.
Hey, we got some.
Good. Nope, we're not going to talk about that. You made me lose my train of thought. Send me, y'all, our children went flying out of a kayak.
Hey, kayak.
That's all I'm going to say.
Kayak and ice luge is all I got to say. Good times.
Send me an email, farmorepodcast@gmail.com. I want to see all of the wonderful snow videos. And until next time, pray for us.
Ooh.
Pray for us.
Yes.
Pray for us.
Oof.
We'll catch y'all next time.
See ya.